Hey guys, thank you for joining me again on That Girl Casey. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about this motivational video that I ran into. I ran into it last year, but I ran into it again this year. Okay, so if that makes any sense, on YouTube. And it's a video that was put together by a YouTuber of some audio messaging from Earl Nightingale. Okay, so Earl Nightingale he was an author, he was a radio host, and he was a businessman. He lived in the past. He is already dead. He died like in 89. Okay, and this guy, he went through the Great Depression, and when he was a kid, he was told about poverty and stuff, but how just some people some people are just poorer. And his thing was like, that doesn't feel right in a land full of such abundance that anybody should ever be poor. What is it that makes men become poor? Like, what happens? And so at a young age, he started trying to think about how people think, period. Like, what happens to man, what happens to successful thoughts that you might have in the beginning that you don't reach in the end. He uses an example where he talks about like a group of men. He says, when you meet them at 25, everybody's like, yo, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna do my thing, I'm gonna be rich, right? But let's say if it was like 70 men, right? He says, out of that group, he was like, one of them, when you meet them again when they're 64, he's like, one of them will be filthy rich. He's like, four of them will be financially free. Five of them will be working, paying the bills and stuff. And 54 of them will be broke. And so he's like, so what is it that happens to men that makes them lose their sparkle? He's like, we live in a land full of abundance, and by 64, we don't even know how to use money. So, and this is coming from, these tapings are from like the 50s, okay? And he makes another comment too where he says that if you ask a lot of men, like, why do you go to work? They say like, well, everybody else goes to work. So why wouldn't I go to work like everybody else does it? He said, but that's never a reason to do anything just because other people do it. He says, he quotes an author, like he quotes many authors like in this taping. And he says the opposite of courage is not cowardice, it's conformity. So it's like when he says that, I'm like, dag, yo, he taped this in 1950 something. And then today, that's still very much true. There's a lot of conformity, a lot of compliance. You can see a lot of conformity out here, okay? So he goes on to keep talking, and he's like, and this taping is actually called The Strangest Secret, okay? And he says, so let me talk to you what the strangest secret is. He said, the strangest secret is you become what you think about. You become what you think you are. It's just, he was like, it's strange, right? Because you've heard it before. He's like, I call it the strangest secret because it's something so simple. I've heard it before, yet a lot of people don't seem to get it, or when people figure it out, they think they're the first person to figure it out. But he said all the philosophers of time, they might don't agree about other things, but they would agree about this. Everybody has their own way of saying, like, you become what you think you are, or just basically, this is another way. Like, if you think negative, you get negative, people cause their own problems, all that kind of stuff is just really around the whole, you become what you think you are. A lot of people talk about stuff like, I'm going to manifest this and I'm going to manifest, and that's what's up. But you got to think about it and then think that way and continuously think that way to manifest this great thing. So it's true, right? It's so simple. But when you're listening to somebody say it in the way how he puts it, I'm like, yeah. So then he goes on and he talks about the brain. He's like, the brain is like our most valuable thing, but nobody cares about it. He's like, we take it for granted. He's like, and he said, we do that because it's free. He was like, we take more expensive things and make those things more important. He's like, but the real valuable things in life are free, right? Like love, how you think, your ambition, who you are, your will. He said, those things are free. He says, the brain will take in whatever you put in and it'll give you whatever you have been putting in. Like, it'll spit it basically right back out. So if you are putting a bunch of negative seeds in the brain, you're going to get a bunch of weeds coming out, right? Just like dirt, he said. He said if a farmer puts corn in the dirt, they're going to get big corn stalks, right? But if they put in a bunch of junk, weed seeds, whatever, then that's what they're going to get back out. And the dirt isn't going to stop them. Your brain isn't going to say, it's as weird as it sounds, your brain's not going to be like, hey, don't think that. You're thinking that. So that's what you're going to get back out. So he goes through all this and he's talking about success. And he says, like, success is the progressive realization of, towards a goal. He says, once you've made a goal and you're working towards it, he's like, you're already successful. He said, and the goal isn't about, oh, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to make all this money. No, he's like, the goal is about, like, I want to be a wonderful wife and a wonderful mother. And he's like, the minute you put that goal in there and you're doing that, you're working towards it, he's like, you're already successful. That's what success is measured by, which is true. He says, people who want to be rich, he's like, if people want to be rich, he said, you can't just think about like just the money. You have to think about the service that you're giving to others. If you're giving a proper service to others, then you will be successful because you will get the dividends from it, from the work that you put in. So that's like very much good advice, right? So then in the end, he talks about a 30-day challenge. And I've said, I'm going to try this little challenge. You take an index card, you write down your goal. He says, you write it down, you look at it in the morning. He said, when you look at it in the morning, he was like, you already have made the decision to like work towards something. So that's good. Okay. So today, you're working towards something. He's like, look at it throughout the day. And he's like, and look at it before you go to bed. He also says to write down the Bible verse, the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verses 7 and 8. And it says, ask, and it's the verse that says, like, ask and you shall receive, look and you shall find, and it'll be given unto you. I definitely did just like paraphrase it. So he says, like, write it in the back of the index card. Now, if you're not Christian, maybe write something else motivational that's pertainable to you. So he says, while you're working towards your goal, he says, don't wake up every morning like stressing, like, all right, how many? He said, make it one goal, right? So for me as an example, we'll start off with, I'm going to lose 10 pounds, right? One simple goal. In 30 days, I'm going to lose 10 pounds. And I'm going to come back to you guys with my results. So what I'll do is I'll write that down on an index card. I'll look at it. I'm not going to stress about it. He says, but the plan will come to you. You will actively work towards it, but that doesn't mean you stress about it. And the main thing, too, is to remove negative thinking, because your mind is going to play tricks on you, and you're going to say, I don't even have time to work out. I don't have time to plan meals. I don't have time to do. She's like, the minute you start thinking like that, you have to like go back, look at your goal, and stop yourself from thinking like that. Replace that thought with something else. And it sounds easy, but of course it's hard because you're actually building a new habit. And I read somewhere that you could build a new habit in 14 days. So who knows, maybe in the middle of the 30 days, it does become a little easier. So that's my example. I am going to try to go ahead and do this. And I think that this is good. Like, finding that video, again, I was like, yo, this is coming at the right time because, peep this, right? It's the end of the year. We're at the last month, and a lot of times people say, I'm going to do a resolution next year for XYZ. Well, maybe at the last month, I'm not telling people to lose 10 pounds. I'm not telling you what your goal should be, even if it's a whatever simple goal. I won't even use an example. But maybe at the last month of the year, you could pretty much say, you could practice on how you would do those resolutions for next year. This could be good practice on building a new routine. So I think that this is a great idea, and I'm going to try it. You guys comment below. Let me know if you're going to try it. Let me know if you like this video, and let me know if you want to see my results. If you do, you can subscribe to the channel, and then you'll see my results. And I will be totally honest with you guys, of course. There's nothing to not be transparent about, all right? So thanks for coming over, and I'll see you guys at the next video, okay?